Hello students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator for Paper 1. Today we are going to talk about the changing pattern of our UGC NET examination. So, let us discuss about the pattern of the exam and how we see that the questions that are asked in the examination are changing. So, before that, we see that there is no negative marking in our examination. There is Paper 1 and Paper 2. So, the questions that are asked are either in a multiple choice option or multiple choice questions are asked, or it can be in an assertion reason form or statement wise question. There is Paper 1 and Paper 2 that we have. So, Paper 1 has 50 questions while Paper 2 has 100 questions. But what is the best point? That there is no negative marking. So, the correct answer would give you 2 marks, but the incorrect answer will not give you any negative marking, right? So, it would be 0, and the unattempted questions would also give you 0 marks, right? So, we see that there are mostly MCQ type questions. In Paper 1, as I told you, 50 questions are there, and in Paper 2, 100. Now, as per the official notice, there are some detailed pattern that UGC notification talks about. What all are the skills, what all are the things that UGC is targeting on and want you to already have. So, regarding the Paper 1, the website also informs us that the questions would be very generic, right? Generic in the sense they will try to see your comprehending skills, your aptitude skills. So, they'll see what is your teaching skills, what is your aptitude, what is your teaching and research aptitude as compared to the other students, right? So, I would read here, the questions will be generic, intending to assess your teaching and research aptitude. It will be primarily designed to look at your ability to answer the questions. That means your reasoning capabilities and your abilities are targeted on. There is comprehension capabilities and your divergent thinking. They don't want you to give a convergent thinking type of answer. They want you to be more and more calculative, more and more rational and answer the question having a divergent thinking. Now, what is divergent thinking? They want you to think broadly. They want you to incorporate a lot of details that you have studied. So, they will never ask questions that are really direct. It will always be interdisciplinary so that your divergent thinking and your general awareness can be tapped on. Why general awareness? Because yes, they want you to read your newspapers, look at the news. They'll try to blend the current affairs with the static portions and would try to make the paper more and more comprehensive. While the Paper 2 is your core paper, that paper and the website informs that it is based on the subject you have selected. And the questions are also related to the subjects you have selected, right? So, in Paper 1, they are trying to see your general capabilities, general aptitude. That is why we have sections like comprehension. We have sections like data analysis, right? So, we have data interpretations. So, this is how they want you to comprehend things better and have a divergent thinking. That is why previously, when we had when NTA was not conducting the examination, comparatively the level was less than what we have now, right? So, the paper was direct, the questions were direct, but right now we see multidisciplinary type of questions. And this is why they want you to have divergent thinking and more general awareness. Now, let us see the units that we have in Paper 1. So, we have about 10 units and 5 questions are asked. Now again, we used to have 5 questions from each unit. But right now, the pattern is again changing. There is only 2 units that will always have 5 questions. That is your data interpretation and your mathematical reasoning. Rest, other units, they can ask 5 questions or they cannot ask 5 questions. That is why my suggestion to you is that never leave any unit, especially mathematics and data interpretation and your comprehension. So, they'll ask questions from comprehension 5, that is fixed. From your Data interpretation, they'll definitely ask 5 questions. So these 2 units you cannot leave, right? So first of all, let us see the unit. We have the first unit, teaching aptitude. It holds 10 marks because as per the website, 5 questions would be asked. Then there is research. Why these 2 units are so important? Students think that research, teaching aptitude and communication are easy units. But what is UGC doing now? They are making these 3 units very interdisciplinary. They are combining the facts with the current affairs. They're asking you so many questions about the different MOOCs that are coming. So what is this? They are trying to generally aware you about all the MOOCs, and that is also a static portion in our syllabus. So this is how they are making the paper more and more challenging. So what you have to do is to study the static portion and keep on visiting the website of the government websites, or keep on reading more and more newspaper, right? Then we have the reading comprehension. This is veritably a easy type of unit because here you should have a good reading skill, then only easily you can crack it. Then we have communication, and PYQ helps a lot when it comes to your communication section. Then we have the reasoning, that is the mathematical reasoning. They have a lot of questions from mathematical reasoning. In this time, session, they asked a lot of questions from mathematics related to averages, ratio, and time, distance, and all of these concepts become very important. Then we have the logical reasoning. One of the units that the students are really afraid of. Why? Because it is very detailed, very vast. And the most important thing is the Indian philosophy, or you can say the Indian logic. And yes, you have to study this very carefully because it is in-depth. But why is it so scoring? Because PYQs is the best thing to comprehend and to complete your logical reasoning section. Then we have the data interpretation, and definitely you will see 5 questions related to one data interpretation. Then you have ICT. Why ICT is more important now? Because they want you to change with this changing scenario, change with this changing world. That is why they ask full form from ICT a lot. Then we have people and environment. So it is people, development and environment, and they definitely ask questions from this. Also, current affairs are asked from this topic. Then we have higher education. Now, some students think that polity is not important, but I would say they'll definitely ask one question from polity as well. So never leave the governance topic and the polity topic here. This is the higher education system. So as per this, there is 50 questions, 100 marks. The paper would be of 100 marks. Then how many questions are asked? What type of questions are asked in your examination? So they will ask you multiple choice type questions. They are called as the MCQs. You'll have to mark the single correct answer. This is the most frequently asked type of questions. Out of all the 4 options, you have to choose the one correct, most suitable type of answer. Then you have multiple choice type questions with multiple answers. So it can be one statement is given, and related to that, 4 options are given. But out of them, 2 can be true. So A and B are true, B or C, C or D. That depends on the question. Then you can have true and false question as well. They would give you 2 statements. One is true, one is false. Both are false, both are true. Depending on the scenario, they will try to tap on this. And these questions are like the speed breaker questions. Because what will they do? They will play along the words. They will make the words more and more difficult for you to read them. Also, reading it on the computer, because it is a computer-based examination, actually creates a lot of problem. So one advice is start practicing a little bit computer as well. Because there are few students who are not that good with computers. Sometimes they lose marks because of hesitation. Then you also have questions like matching, and sections are, and you can say associated questions as well. So you have 2 sections or 2 columns given, and you have to match the following. You also are asked assertion reason questions. Now this is the most important one, because this time there were so many true and false and assertion reason questions. They are again a type of speed breaker questions, because with just twisting of a statement, they can actually twist your minds. This is why these type of questions are asked a lot of time. There is always one statement, that statement is an assertion, and reasons are given to it. Now what you have to see, is the reason correct or is it not? Then you have the sequence question as well. This time as well, they ask so many sequence questions in your core paper as well, that is your paper 2 and in paper 1. Like they said that you have to sequentially set the networks, that is man, WAN and LAN, and you had to set it. So this is how they will ask about the different questions. So the networks were there and you had to sequentially arrange them. Then you had the paragraph, and with the paragraph, the questions are given. Now this, some students feel that this is tough. Why? Because their reading speed is less or their comprehending skills is less. So you have to read a lot of editorials, right? Read newspapers and then your speed would increase. Also, one advice, always read the paragraph in one go, then read the questions and then go through the passage again, because they will ask, they want you to read in between the lines. That is why no direct questions are asked. Then let us see what was the trend that they followed in 2022. This would definitely help my students who are appearing for 2023 examination. So let us see, teaching aptitude was moderate to difficult because they asked a lot of questions from MOOC that was static plus the current affair part. Then they asked questions from research aptitude and it was difficult because this is a unit that they really want you to learn thoroughly because it would be used for the further examinations as well. Whenever you give your PhD entrances or maybe other teaching aptitude examinations, this teaching aptitude and research aptitude and your communication are 3 units that become very important. Then there was comprehension. It was moderate, and logical reasoning, easy to moderate because PYQ play a very important role here. Then we had the data interpretation. That was easy. Why? Because it was related to PYQ this time and it was easy for the students to do. Then we have math. That was difficult for some students, moderate to difficult, I would say. Then there was communication, easy to moderate because PYQ is again play a very important role. Then environment, it is of course difficult. They will ask in-depth questions from environment because this is the unit where they can play with your mind. They will ask you MCQs that are really tough. They can ask you about so many current affairs. That is why this unit is a little bit challenging. After environment comes the higher ed. Higher ed was moderate or you can say easy as well. Then comes ICT. ICT becomes difficult because it is too static. So you have to study vigilantly all the terms and the terminologies. Now, after talking to the different students, we came up with that what all questions were asked in your examination. And by doing this analysis, it would become very clear for you to actually study these topics. You cannot leave these topics that are frequently asked in your examination, right? Now, I won't say that all the topics are covered. I tried the best that I can to cover the points that were asked in the paper. Some can definitely be left. So what were the topics that were asked from teaching aptitude? So they asked about MOOCs. A lot of questions were asked about MOOCs. Not only static, in-depth. Read about Joomla, read about Coursera, read about edX, read about a lot related to the MOOCs. Then about SWAYAM and CBSE. So they asked a lot about the different grading systems and CBSE. Then they also asked a lot about the characteristics of a good teacher and a good learner. Then about research aptitude. So in research aptitude, they talked about sampling, types of samplings. This is definitely the most important thing. They'll definitely ask you about the step and the different types of sampling techniques. This is favorite of UGC NET. They asked questions related to the thesis. They asked you about plagiarism. They asked you about the different tests. They asked you about the report writing as well. And assertion type questions came from this topic. Then comes the comprehension. They had comprehension related to the political development, social behavior and marketing and other related essays were also there. In the previous examination, they asked about COVID. That means they will definitely ask questions that are contemporary, right? So the comprehension is always related to the topic, that is related to the current scenarios. Then we have the logical reasoning. In logical reasoning, you just cannot leave fallacies. They also ask questions from square of oppositions, a very important topic. They ask questions from creative knowledge and related, and the statement-wise questions were asked more from this unit. Then about data interpretation. They ask questions related to ratio and averages. Then comes the mathematics. One unit that this time you saw a lot of questions from it. So number series become very important. And Pythagoras theorem was also asked. Coding, decoding, direction, letter series, averages, number series, and pipeline questions, stream, both questions of distance and time, that was also asked. Train questions were also asked, that is distance and time. And then they asked about the compound interest, simple interest, your selling price, cost price. These were definitely asked in your exam. Then comes the communication. One thing that is very expected in your exam all the time, that was asked from communication. They asked about Bloom's taxonomy. They asked about barriers. They asked about non-verbal communication. What do you even want? These are the most important things. And they asked questions from this. That is why communication was easy. They also asked characteristics and models of communication. Then comes the environment. Now this unit is comprehensive, as I told you. They asked a lot about protocol. So you see that they asked about CITES. They asked about Kyoto Protocol, Montreal Protocol. They asked about Agenda 21 and questions from WHO. Also, they won't ask you directly about COVID, but yes, they asked about WHO. This is how they will play with the word and play with your minds. They asked about carbon emission levels. They asked about global warming, natural hazards, and air pollution. Now, you cannot leave pollution. This topic of different types of pollution, they definitely ask. Also, about the different natural hazards, they will ask questions related to that. One most important thing is the SDG and the MDGs. Now, one tip, not only learn the SDG and the MDG, not only learn the goals, but learn the target, because now they are asking questions from target. Then comes the higher education. As expected, they ask a lot of questions from the university ranking, AICT, UGC, and the NEP 2020. One topic, again, you cannot leave questions from. They also ask questions related to NIRF ranking. Then comes ICT. In ICT, they ask questions from search engines, and there were some pick the odd one out type questions. E-governance, memory of computers, very, very important. Also, one MCQ was seen in your ICT. That was a changing trend. There were 2 files at which speed you can download that. This is something really different what UGC used to ask, because they are making it interdisciplinary, as I told you. So mathematical speed should be there and the knowledge of different conversion should be there. Then only you could have done this topic. Then they asked a lot of conversion type questions, that is from binary to decimal to hexadecimal, hexabinary, etc. Then, as per the feedback, what was the conclusion? So, paper 2 and paper 1 both were lengthy but doable. Paper 2 and paper 1 both had questions from UGC NET exam. That is, the previous year papers become very important. That is why PYQ is one thing that will make you sail through the examination. Paper 1 DI was also related to the previous year papers, and it was a bit time consuming. Now, what all topics become important for your 2023 examination? And trust, you have to trust me and trust my guts here that they can ask questions from all these topics. So don't leave all these things. No one can tell you that definitely this will be asked, but we can provide you with direction, what to study, right? So in teaching aptitude, learn a lot and read a lot about the theories of teaching, the models of teaching, and the tools of effective teaching. Read about Bloom's taxonomy, key behaviors and helping behaviors. Read about domains and characteristics of teaching, characteristics of learner, characteristics of a good teacher. Then comes the research aptitude. In research aptitude, never leave types of research. Never leave steps of research. Also study about the different types of variables. Then comes communication. Do all the PYQs, study about classroom communication. That is a very important thing. Study about the barriers to communication, especially the semantic barriers, and study about the non-verbal communication. Language relevance is also important, and effective classroom communication, as I told you, is something that they will definitely ask. Then comes higher education. So I have written Kothari Commission only, but what I meant is read all the commissions. So Kothari is the most important commission, but there are so many commissions. Not only before independence, after independence and before, both are important, because this time they ask before independence, commissions from before independence a lot. Then we have central universities. Read about NEP 2020. Then read about all the NIRF ranking and also the criteria of these ranking. NAC grading, you should know all the NAC gradings. Then read about Swayam Prabha, the satellite use, how many channels are there. So this time they ask how many channels are there. So we had 32 channels, but now it is 34. So they ask what all other 2 channels added. So all of these things become important. You cannot leave about Kisan credit card. You cannot read about, not leave the different gender parity index or the Pradhan Mantri Yojana that they have. So read more about the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, RUSA. They definitely ask questions from all these things. Read about SCBI, read about Bar Council, Medical Council. So all these governing bodies should be clear to you. Read about AICTE, read about UGC. You should know the headquarters, how many headquarters, where the headquarters is there, which year UGC and AICTE were actually established, right? Now comes your information and communication. Now read about the www, compilers, firewalls, read about the application softwares, DVDs, and numerical conversions. You just cannot leave that. Also add emails here. They ask a lot of questions from emails. Then comes environment. You have to learn all the targets, all the SDGs and MDG. Read about all the protocols. This will suffice, but you should know all the pollution related questions, because these pollutions, especially the air and the water pollution, they definitely ask questions from that. Also, groundwater pollution and e-waste management is something that they are asking questions from. Then come mathematics. So you have to do discount, you have to do series, compound interest, time, speed, distance. You have to do it. Then comes the data interpretation and reading comprehension. And 10 questions are final. So 5 from each will definitely be asked. These are the 2 units you cannot leave. Then comes the logical reasoning. Read about arguments. Read about the square of oppositions. Inductive, deductive reasoning. Venn diagrams is also something you cannot leave. And one more thing, moods and figures. They never used to ask questions from moods and figures, but this time we saw questions from moods and figures. Learn about the means of knowledge, the structure and the kinds of anumana, and hetvabhas is something you cannot leave. That means fallacies. That is very important. They always repeat the PYQs here. So the question related to Devdutt is the example that they always ask related to Arthapati. They will always ask the questions related to fire, the sky lotus. These are typical questions that they will repeat again and again in the examination. So this is what I had for today's video. I hope I made things lucid and clear. These were the changing trends and the important topics that they can again ask questions from. I hope you are studying and you are enjoying the process. The paper is really soon. Brush up your skills. Keep on studying and keep on smiling. Thank you.